Bertold Heinrich Kaempfert was born on October 16, 1923, in the working-class Hamburg neighborhood of Barmbek, Germany. A son of modest beginnings, his destiny was rewritten by a taxi accident when he was just 6 years old. The 500 Deutschmarks award to his family became more than just financial compensation. They purchased a piano, a key that would unlock a lifelong pursuit of beauty through sound. Nicknamed Phipps by his family, Bert showed a fascination with music from his earliest days. He first began poking at the piano keys with a single finger, but within a few short years, he was proficient enough to begin formal lessons. He studied under Wilhelm Witt and later enrolled at the Hamburg School of Music, where his ability to absorb and adapt quickly became evident. By the age of 16, Kaempfert had not only mastered piano, but had also taken up the accordion, saxophone, and clarinet, earning him a place with the Hans Busch Orchestra. Then came the war. World War II halted many ambitions across Europe, but for Kaempfert, it became a strange continuation of his musical education. Conscripted into the German Navy, he found himself playing in the service's bands, performing even while stationed on the remote island of Sylt. Later, as a prisoner of war in Denmark, Kaempfert used his incarceration to form a band of fellow detainees. This group, named Peak Ass, would tour northern Germany after their release, playing American swing and jazz at American officers' clubs, music that would come to shape Kaempfert's creative direction for years. Upon returning to Hamburg after the war, he married his beloved Hannelore Winkler in 1946. Their relationship, rooted in wartime resilience, bore 2 daughters, Marion and Doris. As a family man, Kaempfert sought stability in post-war chaos, but his heart remained tethered to music. Hamburg was rebuilding, and so was he. The British Forces Network gave him a platform where he began arranging and composing music, sometimes under the alias Mark Bones. Though the music scene was uncertain and resources scarce, Kaempfert's skill and determination made him one of the most sought-after musicians in the city. By the mid-1950s, Kaempfert was gaining momentum. He signed with Polydor Records, not just as a performer, but also as a producer and arranger. His early productions included hits for Freddie Quinn and Ivo Robic, the latter becoming internationally recognized through the song Morgen. But Kaempfert's ambitions reached beyond crafting success for others. He sought his own voice. In 1960, he finally found it. Wonderland by Night was recorded with Charles Tabor's haunting trumpet, subdued brass, and lush orchestral textures. The German label showed little enthusiasm, so Kaempfert and his wife took a bold gamble. They flew to New York and presented the track to Milt Gabler at Decca Records. Gabler heard something that others didn't, or couldn't. The single was released in the United States, and within months, it had soared to the top of the Billboard charts. Suddenly, Bert Kaempfert was a global name. His orchestra followed up with one hit after another. His sound, a combination of snappy rhythm sections, carefully layered strings, and playful melodies, became instantly recognizable. African Beat, A Swingin' Safari, That Happy Feeling, and Red Roses for a Blue Lady became regular fare on both radios and television programs across the globe. His records didn't shout. They swayed, danced, and lifted moods with remarkable ease. With bassist Ladi Geisler's knack bass staccato technique, the unique style of the Kaempfert sound was unmistakable. He wasn't just composing music, he was crafting moments. Kaempfert's influence soon stretched far beyond his own discography. He wrote songs that turned into anthems for some of the century's most iconic performers. Strangers in the Night, originally composed for the film A Man Could Get Killed, became a #1 hit for Frank Sinatra. Though Sinatra reportedly disliked the song, it brought him back into popular favor and won a Grammy. Danke Schoen, delivered with impish charm by Wayne Newton, turned into a lounge standard and later found new life in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Love penned for Nat King Cole shortly before the singer's death, remains a wedding favorite across cultures. Spanish Eyes, born from the instrumental Moon Over Naples, launched Al Martino's second wind in the industry. Yet Kaempfert's role in music history includes a twist no one saw coming. He helped discover the Beatles. In 1961, while producing Tony Sheridan in Hamburg, Kaempfert hired an unknown British band as his backing group. The Beatles, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Pete Best recorded several tracks under Kaempfert's direction, including My Bonnie, Cry for a Shadow, and Ain't She Sweet. Though Kaempfert didn't champion them beyond their work with Sheridan, his decision to record them gave Brian Epstein, their eventual manager, something concrete to present to Parlophone's George Martin. Without those sessions, the Beatles' rise might have looked very different. Kaempfert had turned a quiet corner of Hamburg into a global launchpad. Throughout the 1960s, his music continued to evolve. Though rooted in the easy listening genre, Kaempfert's output embraced global styles. The Swingin' Safari album drew inspiration from South African Kwela music, incorporating tracks like Zambezi and Skokiaan. He experimented with jazz textures, funk rhythms, and Latin undertones. His songs were recorded by Bobby Hackett, Pete Fountain, Al Hirt, and even Johnny Mathis, who released a full double LP of Kaempfert's compositions. He also delved into film scoring, contributing to GI Blues with Wooden Heart, adapted from a German folk tune. Later, he wrote the entire soundtrack for You Can't Win 'Em All, starring Charles Bronson and Tony Curtis. Though Kaempfert's popularity dimmed somewhat in the 1970s with the rise of rock and disco, he didn't fade. Instead, he adapted. He recorded a disco-flavored version of Isaac Hayes' theme from Shaft that even earned praise from Hayes himself. He also began performing live for the first time, breaking from his largely studio-based career. His 1974 concert at the Royal Albert Hall in London was a rousing success, punctuated by a crowd that wouldn't let him leave the stage without 4 encores. "I'd be happy to continue," he quipped, "but I haven't got any more music scores and my musicians are thirsty." This humor, warm and understated, reflected Kaempfert's personality offstage. Though he moved among international stars, he never embraced the glittering drama of fame. Friends described him as grounded, modest, even shy. He rarely spoke about himself, preferring his compositions to do the talking. Despite his extraordinary success, he remained a family man, deeply connected to his wife and daughters. Mallorca became their cherished retreat, a sanctuary away from flashing bulbs and roaring crowds. It was in Mallorca, in the early summer of 1980, that Kaempfert's story came to its final chapter. He had just completed a 3-week tour of the United Kingdom, ending with another triumph at the Royal Albert Hall. Excited by new ideas and filled with plans for upcoming recordings, Kaempfert was finally enjoying the rewards of a lifetime of labor. He spoke of returning to London, revisiting America, composing fresh material. The air was thick with possibility. Then, without warning, he suffered a stroke. Bert Kaempfert died on June 21, 1980, at his home in Mallorca. He was only 56. The shock reverberated far beyond his family and close friends. In studios, radio stations, concert halls, and quiet living rooms, listeners paused to remember the music that had danced through their lives. His wife, Hannelore, later fulfilled his final wish. His ashes were scattered in the waters where the Everglades begin, a nod to his deep love for fishing and the sea. In the years that followed, Kaempfert's name never truly disappeared. Tributes poured in from artists across the world. In 1993, he was posthumously inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame, the first German to receive such recognition. Germany honored him with multiple awards, and his hometown of Hamburg named a square after him, Bert Kaempfert Platz. His melodies have been re-recorded by orchestras, sampled by electronic artists, and featured in films ranging from Eyes Wide Shut to Meet the Parents. A new generation discovered his music through his grandson, Stefan Kaempfert, who launched the project Kaempfert Plays Kaempfert, breathing fresh life into these familiar tunes. But perhaps his truest legacy lies in the simple way his music continues to stir something gentle in those who hear it. Whether floating in the background at a cafe, swaying over a dance floor, or underscoring a quiet family moment, Kaempfert's sound continues to hum in the corners of life. He didn't shout. He never needed to. He wrote with melody, grace, and an ever-present smile. And in doing so, he found a place in the hearts of millions, where his music still sings, softly and surely, decades after the man himself has gone.